We already had our initial dev diary about the captain changes coming with the rework, but now the second forum post has been updated with more detailed changes, and in this video I'm gonna go through all these changes and let's see what's happening. We currently have Song Brother in blue line, and in yellow line it's Shield Brother. These are switching places. Shield Brother is going into blue line, Song Brother into yellow line. And the reasoning behind this, if you're playing a healing captain, Shield Brother makes more sense to put on a tank. If you're playing the tank captain, it makes sense to put your Song Brother on a healer. We have some changes to the battle states for a captain. Currently, the ways to get into battle readied is either battle shout in every trait line, you have Valiant Strike in blue line, and Shadow's Lament in red line. The blue and red has 2 ways, and yellow line has 1 way to get into battle readied. This is changing. Battle Shout is staying. Valiant Strike and Shadow's Lament will no longer put you into battle readied. Instead, we're getting a brand new return of a skill. Defensive Strike is coming back in every captain line. Every trait line should have 2 ways to get into battle readied. Battle readied in yellow line in the tank line will have increased threat multiplier, and in blue line this damage will increase the heals of your Valor effects, which will be explained later. It's a new effect in blue line. And as always, Devastating Blow or Pressing Attack will be used to get into battle hardened. With these changes, with the introduction of Defensive Strike, captains should have some more leeway to keep their stances up. We have a few changes to blue line captain. Currently there's a 10% chance to proc a heal, the 1 second cooldown. This thing right here is getting removed. It's unreliable 10% proc chance, and they want to reduce the RNG and give Cappy more control of their healing, so this one is getting removed. The bottom set bonus in blue line, Inspiriting Presence, is getting changed. So what you see right here will no longer be the case. Instead, every time you critically hit with your melee skills, you will get a stack of Inspiriting. Each stack will give you 2% healing, so when you have 5 stacks of Inspiriting, you will have 10% outgoing healing. And also at 5 stacks, you gain the skill Gift of Spirit, a skill that will consume all of these stacks. So it will kind of work like the Minstrel Snowball effect, where you heal 7 times, you get the perfect ending skill unlocked. Critting 5 times with your melee attacks will unlock the Gift of Spirit, big single target heal. Reform the Lines, which is currently a capstone skill in blue line, will be removed from the traits, like the main traits, and will be moved into the specialization bar on the left. And finally, we have the trait Valor. This trait is getting changed. This is no longer the case. This effect will now instead be replaced by an effect that puts a bonus heal on most of your melee skills. So most of your melee skills will have a bonus heal, and this bonus heal will only apply to your Shield Brother. So it's a way to kind of heal your tank more. If you're active using your melee skills and you have your Shield Brother on a tank, your healing output on your tank should be a lot more. We have some red line changes as well. Master of War, which is the bottom set bonus in red line, will be changed. This trait will now only affect Inspire. Every time you critically hit with Inspire, you and your Blade Brother will both receive 50% critical chance for 5 seconds. So landing a crit with your Inspire every 15 seconds could give a really good burst damage window for you and your Blade Brother. A lot of the critical magnitude on Red Cappy is a bit too high, so it's getting normalized to a bit lower levels. You shouldn't worry though, because the damage is increasing, and overall Captain should see a damage increase. And a lot of people might have heard of the new solo stance, Standing Alone. I believe that's going to be the name. So if a captain chooses to be in the DPS stance instead of the support, these 4 skills will change, and I have them at the bottom here, you can see as well. So going into Stand Alone, Inspire will change. Inspire will change into Self-Determination. And Self-Determination will kind of be like a self buff You can see here it'll be a melee attack that gives increased damage and slightly reduced incoming damage for 18 seconds. And since the cooldown on Inspire is 15 seconds, you should be able to keep this buff up 100% of the time. Just another way to increase your damage if you're in the stand-alone stance. 2 arms will also change into Masterful Strike, and Masterful Strike will be a strong melee attack. It also gives you a strong damage buff. So another DPS cooldown if you're playing in stand-alone. Words of Courage will also change into Courageous Heart if you're in the stand-alone stance, and Words of Courage will give you 20% mitigations for 10 seconds. It's a pretty strong mitigation cooldown here, but it will be on a 50-second cooldown. Just some nice extra survivability if you're playing in the solo stance. And finally, the Escape from Darkness, your res in Redline, will change into Cry of Fury, and this skill will then change into a AoE damaging skill and apply an outgoing damage debuff to enemies hit and give you a strong self-heal over a brief period. These 4 skills will change if you're playing in the stand-alone stance. Inspire, 2 arms, Words of Courage, Escape of Darkness will become more of a self-buffing skills instead of group support. We already know that Shield of the Dunedain is getting moved from yellow line over to blue line, Capstone, and in yellow, Shield Brothers Call is getting changed. This will no longer be the current effect. Instead, it will be like a mini Shield of the Dunedain. You can target an ally, and that ally will take minus 30% incoming damage for 5 seconds. So not a long duration, but it can help mitigate a big hit. When those 5 seconds expire, some of that player's threat will be transferred to you. So what will happen to Shield of the Dunedain since it goes away? This spot here will be replaced by a brand new cooldown called At the Fore. This skill will negate 50% of your incoming damage for 10 seconds. And each hit you take while it's active will give you a stack of battle endurance. After the 10 seconds is over, you will gain 100% melee damage, and each melee attack you make will restore 5% of your morale, and the skill will have a 4-minute cooldown. It doesn't say how long the after effect has, where you can hit stuff and restore your morale, but the initial cooldown is 10 seconds, and then after you get increased melee damage, and each melee attack you make will restore 5% of your morale. Maybe the stacks of battle endurance has something to do with it. We'll have to see when we get more information. A lot of people might know strength in numbers is pretty bad right now, but this skill will be buffed and the numbers will increase, especially if you have more allies next to you. So with the Captain rework, strength in numbers should once again be useful. Fighting Withdrawal will no longer have the parry chance on it, and it'll now just act as your breakout skill, no longer as a cooldown / breakout skill. Don't worry, the parry buff is not going away completely. Instead, it'll be changed into a new skill called Hammer Stroke. And as you can see, Hammer Stroke will be a melee skill that deals significant damage and gives you a 30% parry chance buff for 10 seconds with a 45-second cooldown. So a big hit, but also a parry chance for 10 seconds. A bit of less parry chance, a little bit less duration, but also a shorter cooldown, and it's now a damaging skill. And also a final note on Gallant Display. This will no longer be a trait in blue line, it'll be a baseline captain skill, dealing frontal AoE damage in 2 hits. And the increased potency and cost from tiering up the Gallant effect is being increased. So tiering up the Gallant buff will make the skills more effective, but also cost more power. And we can see at the notes here, the effects depending on which trait line you're in. In blue line, Gallant Display will deal AoE damage. Well, it's going to deal AoE damage in every line. But in blue, it's AoE damage and AoE healing. Subsequent uses greatly increases power cost and healing. Gallant Display in red, AoE damage and subsequent uses greatly increases power cost and greatly increases damage. And in yellow line, it'll be AoE damage and minor self-healing. Subsequent uses increases power cost, damage, and healing. So in every line, Gallant Display will be AoE damage. In blue line, it'll also do AoE healing. In red line, it'll do more damage. And in yellow, it'll also do a minor self-heal. Thank you for watching. Please consider subscribing to help out the channel. Leave a like, join my Discord, and I'll see you in the next one. If you're playing or looking to play Lord of the Rings online, there is one place you need to be. The Ghynverse! The Ghynverse is a community Discord server for the game Lord of the Rings Online. In this server, you'll find anything from giveaways. There's also a frequently asked questions channel that I would recommend checking out first. You'll be able to see when I put out new YouTube videos, whenever I stream. You can also ask for the streamer role, and you'll be able to post your own streams in this server for everyone to see. There's currently over 5,000 members in this Discord, and it keeps growing. You will also find discussion channels about the game, LOTRO. You can ask any questions in the help channel. There's discussions for every single class in the game and PvP. But one of the best things about this server is the best in slot items section. In this section you can find trait lines for every single class. You will find screenshots of the current best gear being displayed. In this channel you'll find charts showing what stats you need for your characters, mitigations, mastery crit, finesse, but you'll also find useful information about drop rates in different instances. I hope you will consider joining my server, and maybe one day I'll see you in Middle-earth.